Mesechus Kesubos Daf Ayin Ches begins the 8th parak of the Masechta, parak Isha Shenaflu. The topic is when a woman has property which she owned herself and she's bringing it into her marriage and now becomes shared with her husband. Can she sell it? Possibilities are she can sell it lechatchila, or she shouldn't sell it, but if she does, it stays with the person who bought it, or even if she sold it, the husband gets to take it away from that person because he has rights which were violated. So we're going to see the Mishnah, which has a number of opinions in 4 different cases, and then we're going to talk about more machlokes in the Amoraim to determine what exactly was the machlokes Tanaim in the Mishnah. So let's begin. We're talking about a woman who owns her own property. She brings it into her husband as nichse malug. Nichse malug means it stays her property throughout the marriage. However, the husband has the right to use it. He has usage of it, and that is a right which he owns, and she cannot take that right away from him. At least we will have to explain why she could if we say that she could. Now we're going to talk about 4 stages at which the property came to the woman. Did it come before Erison? Did it come after Erison? Did it come after Erison and she sold it after Nesuin? Or did it come after Nesuin? So there's really only 3 possibilities as to when it came, but there's 4 cases. It could have come before Erison, it could have come between Erison and Nesuin, or it could have come after Nesuin. But in the case in which it came after Erison, there's 2 cases, and that is when did she sell it? Did she sell it after Erison but before Nesuin, or did she sell it only after Nesuin? Now, in these 4 cases, we're going to have a number of opinions, quite a few opinions in the Mishnah, and then we'll try to explain it. So let's go through the easy ones first. If the property came to her before Erison, that means it came to her free and clear. She was an adult, she was not married, it is totally hers. There, the Gemara says everybody agrees, at least based on Shammai, who are the main competitors in this Mishnah. They agree that it is hers, and she has a right to sell it. And if she sells it, it belongs to the person who owns it. To the person who bought it, there's nothing to talk about. That's one extreme. The opposite extreme is if she got property after she's already married. Let's say she inherited property after she was already married to her husband. There, Beisil and Meshami agree that she cannot sell it. And if she sells it, the husband has a right to take that away from the person who bought it. It is a total violation of his rights, even though it's her property, but since he has rights to use them, if she sells it, she takes that right away. And there we have an issue. Now, the Gemara is going to say that Rabbi Gamliel said he didn't understand this case. He didn't understand why the husband should have a right to take the property away from the guy who bought it. It's the woman's property. It's her nechse malug. He says we don't understand. The expression he uses is we're embarrassed to figure this out. And the question is, where did Rabbi Gamliel say this? And we'll have 2 more cases, and we'll have a machlokes tanaim where Rabbi Gamliel's comment appeared. So let's go to those 2 cases. So case number 1 is where the property came into the woman's possession after Erison. She was already in Harusa. She now got property. Let's say she inherited it, and then she sold it also while she was in Harusa. So here you have machlokes Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai says she's allowed to sell it lechatchila. Beis Hillel says she's not allowed to sell it lechatchila, but she is allowed to sell it b'diavad. B'diavad, if she sold it, it stays with the person who bought it. The husband cannot take it away. Now, according to Rabbi Yehuda, this is where Rabbi Gamliel commented that I don't understand the last case. He said he was asked in this case where she's in Arusa, how is it possible that she has a right to sell it? And the Gemara is going to question who are we talking about when we ask that question? Are we talking about L'chatchila according to Beis Shammai or B'diavad according to Beis Hillel? But either way, there is some ability to sell here. So Gemara's question we asked says the Gemara the Chamim asked Rabban Gamliel, why is it that she has a right to sell it? Doesn't the husband own it? He married her, he took possession of her, he certainly took possession of her property. And that Rabban Gamliel said, I don't even understand the last case. I don't even understand when she got the property after she was already in the sewer. I don't understand why she can't sell that. The husband has rights to use it. All right, why does that prevent her from selling it? It's her property. So he said, I don't understand that. Do you expect me to explain this? I'm not going to explain this either. This is, according to Yehuda, that's where this conversation took place. Now we go to the second complicated case, and according to one opinion, that's where Rabbi Gamliel's conversation took place. That case is where the property fell to her before Nesuin, and then she got married, she got Nesuin, and then she sold it after Nesuin. So here, what do we have as the halacha? So here we don't have Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. Here we have Rabbi Gamliel. So Rabbi Gamliel says, b'diavad, if she sold it, it's good. She shouldn't sell the chatchila, b'diavad, if she sold it, it's good. And on that, we have Rav Chanina ben Akavia, who says, here is where the Chachamim asked Rabbi and Gamliel, why should this be? If the husband acquired her, he certainly acquired her property, and Rabbi Gamliel said, I don't even understand in the last case where it fell to her. She got the property after she was Nesua, and everybody agrees that she doesn't have the right to sell it, and if she sells it, the husband takes it away. I don't even understand that. I'm certainly not going to understand why in this case, where she got it before she was in Nesua, why B'diavad could stay with the, why we would say that she's not allowed to sell it. Okay, now the Gemara goes to the last opinion. Now the Mishnah quotes another opinion. This is a whole new approach, and this is Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon says it depends what type of property we're talking about. Did the husband know that the property existed, or did he not know that the property existed? If the husband knew that the property existed, she's not allowed to sell it, and if she sold it, the sale is void. If the husband did not know the property existed, she should not sell it, but if she did sell it, the sale does count. So either way, Rabbi Shimon is saying she should not sell the chatchila. If she did sell it, then it depends. If it's property that the husband knew about, the sale is void. If it's property that the husband did not know about, then the sale still counts. All right, now we'll begin the Gemara. The Gemara is going to analyze the Mishnah step by step. So first of all, the Gemara says we had Machlokes Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. We said that in the case where the property falls to her while she's in Arusa and she sells it as an Arusa, everybody agrees she's allowed to sell it and it's fine. If she sold it after she became an Arusa, now it's a machlokes whether it works lechatchila or only b'diavad. So that's the Gemara. What's the difference? What's the difference? Either way, what's the difference when the property fell to her? Either way, she's trying to sell it now. Meaning, either way, we're discussing when she's selling it as an arusa. She's already an arusa when she wants to sell it. But if the property fell to her before Erusin, everybody agrees she can sell it. If the property fell to her after Erusin, then we have machlokes. What's the difference? So the Gemara says one answer, which has to be adjusted. The Gemara first says the difference is that if it fell to her before she was ever married, that means it fell in her zchus. It's something that she got. Something that she has control of. The husband has no zechus in it. When she brings it into the marriage, there's limitations in what his rights are. However, if it fell to her while she's in Arusa, then she's already involved. Then it could be that it was in his zechus. It's falling to him as much as it's falling to her to a certain extent, and therefore he has more rights over it. And that's why you'll have over there an opinion of Beis Hillel that says that she's allowed to sell. You have the opinion of Beis Hillel that says she's allowed to sell it only b'diavad. Now, the Gemara's problem with this is that if that's true, so if it really fell in the husband's merit, if it fell into his rishus, he already has rishus over it, why would we say that if she sold it, then he's allowed to keep it? How come Yisrael and Shami agree that b'diavad, the sale counts? Doesn't make sense. So the Gemara says, all right, so it's not that it certainly came to his rishus, it certainly came to his zechus, but there's a possibility of looking at it that way. It's possible that it came to his rishus, it's possible that it wasn't his merit that she got the property, and therefore it's a little bit his rights, and therefore we have kind of a split decision, and therefore basically say don't sell it, but if you sold it, we're not going to take it away from the person who bought the land. All right, now the Gemara goes to the discussion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said that the Chachamim said to Rabbi Gamliel, if the husband did Erusin and he bought his wife, he took possession of his wife, certainly he should take possession of her property. What's the difference? And Rabbi Gamliel said, what do you mean? I don't even understand why he has the right to protest when it's after Nisuin. You want me to explain this? So the Gemara says, what was this comment referring to? It was referring to the fact that according to Beis Shammai, she's allowed to sell the chatchila, or is it referring to the fact that both of them hold that the sale counts b'diavad? Says the Gemara, I'll bring you a simple proof that the conversation was referring even to a case of b'diavad, and that's from an expanded version of the conversation which we find in a brisa. And then the Gemara is going to bring another, even more expanded version of the conversation and discuss the details. So this brisa says as follows: it says Yehuda said before Rabbi Gamliel, since this is his wife and this is his wife, this one the sale is canceled, this one the sale should also be canceled. What's he referring to? He's referring to the case where she got the property as a nisua, and there everyone agrees the sale is canceled. And that's what he said. Since in that case the sale is canceled and that's his wife's, in the case where she's in Arusa and she got the property, we said we should also say that the sale is canceled What's the difference? Why do Beis Hillel and Shammai say that the sale is not canceled? So clearly, there the question was asked. Rabbi Gamliel was referring to the fact that even b'di'evet, that was even bothering the questioner. Why is it not canceled even b'di'evet? It should be canceled completely b'di'evet. And on that, Rabbi Gamliel said, I don't even understand in the case where she's fully married, why should the sale be canceled? The husband should not have any rights to cancel the sale. It belongs to her. Now the Gemara has again an expanded version, and this comes from Mechnir ben Akavi. He says, no. Rabbi Gamliel did not answer them straight away. They came in, they said, what's the difference between an arusa and an nesua? How come in an nesua the sale is void, and in an arusa the sale holds up? So he didn't say, I don't even understand the nesua. He said, what do you mean? There's a big difference. He said, in nesua the sale is void because in nesua the husband has a lot of things that he has a lot of rights that he has. He has the rights to her Maisi Yadayim, to her work, to her Afaras Nidarim, his right to her found objects. He owns a lot of things, and therefore, if she goes ahead and sells them, she violates those rights, and that's why it is canceled. However, in the case of an Arusa, you don't have that. So they responded, and they said, that's true if she's selling it as an Arusa. What about the case where it fell to her as an arusa, but she's selling it as a nesua? Over there also we said b'di'evet the sale stands. How could that be? He has all those rights as well. So that doesn't make sense. So the Gemara says, he said to them, what do you mean? I hold that the halacha is that she's allowed to sell it. She's allowed to sell it, and if she sells it, the sale stands. It's her property. So they asked him, they said, what do you mean? He has possession of her. He should have possession of her property as well. So she shouldn't be allowed to sell it. And if she sells it, it should not stand. So he said, even in the last case, which you're not even talking about, even in the case where she got the property after Nisuin, even there I think she should be allowed to sell it, and it should stand. I don't understand why the Chachamim made a rule there otherwise. So I certainly don't agree with you in the case where she got it before Nisuin and she sold it after Nisuin. So Gemara says a bit of a kasha here because the way you're saying it over, Rabbi Gamliel said that she's allowed to sell it, but in our Mishnah we have Rabbi Gamliel says if she sold it, then it sticks around. It's a bit of a contradiction. Is he saying lechatchila she could sell it after Nisuin, or is he saying only if she sold it b'di'evet it's chal? So the Gemara gives two answers to that. The Gemara says Rav Zvid says you have to change the wording over here. It should be that she is lechatchila allowed to say that. She's allowed to sell it, and the Mishnah should also say lechatchila she's allowed to sell. The second answer the Gemara says is Rav Papa. You remember, it says Rav Papa. There's two versions of where Rav Gamliel was talking. There's Yehuda's version and Rav Chanina ben Akavia's version. According to Yehuda's version, Rav Gamliel was talking the case where she's selling it as an arusa, not where she's selling it as an nesua. So over there, he's saying that he thinks that the sale should stand up b'di'evet. That means in the case where she sold it as a nesua, over there, he could be saying that it only works b'di'evet and not lechatchila. However, Rav Chanina ben Akavia, who's referring to by nesua, so over there it makes sense that he would say that it is even lechatchila that she's allowed to sell it. Now the Gemara asks, according to the way you're saying over Rav Chanina ben Akavia, it sounds like B'Shamai. It sounds like he's saying that Rav Gamliel holds that even lechatchila you're allowed to sell it, even in the case of an arusa. That's Rishamai's opinion. But so said it's only b'di'evet in that case. So Gemara says no, he's not saying like Rishamai. He's saying there is no machlokes b'sil Rishamai in this case. He's quoting Rav Gamliel as saying a different shot in where the machlokes is. It's not in the case of arusa. Now the Gemara quotes the opinion of Rav and Shmuel. Rav and Shmuel say it does not make a difference when the property fell to her. If she sold it as a nesua, the husband could take it away. That means our Mishnah says that if she sold it as nesua and it came to her as a nesua, everybody agrees the husband could take it away from the buyer. Rav and Shmuel is saying that's true even if it fell to her as an arusa, but she sold it as a nesua. So Gemara said that does not fit in our Mishnah. We had the two opinions in what the halacha is in the case where it fell to her as an arusa and she sold it as a nesua. We had the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda and the opinion of Chanina ben Akavia. Neither of them said that everybody agrees lechatchila she's allowed to sell it, that the husband's allowed to take it away. No one says that way. So Gemara says Rav and Shmuel are saying like a different Tana, which we didn't even see mentioned in a Mishnah at all. That's the Tana called Rabbi Seinu, where we say in a Brisa that they counted and they voted that whether it fell to her in Erison or in Nisuin, if she sells it, the husband could take it away if she sells it after Nisuin. Now the Gemara asks that the Mishnah seems to be saying over a takana that made an usha, which is a problem because usha, the way we have it recorded, made an original takana, not saying over Allah, which is already in the Mishnah. What do we have from usha? So it says we have a takana in usha that if a lady sold her nechse milog while her husband was alive and then she died, the husband has the right to go take the property away from the lekuchos. That was Usha's takana. But in our mission, we're saying that if she sold anything when she was in a suwa, the husband has the right to take it away. So what was the point of Usha's takana? So it says when we said that he could take it away, we may have only been referring to the usage. He may have gone over to the person who bought it and said, I have the rights to the usage, I'm taking the usage away from you. And the reason that is all he could do is because the wife is still alive. The wife still owns the property and she sold everything that she had. She sold the ownership. The husband had the rights to the usage as long as his wife's alive, and therefore all he could go take away from the buyer is the usage, the payers. However, in Usha they were metaken is that once the wife dies and now the husband is supposed to inherit the actual property, he can go to the buyer and say, give me the property. For not for Usha, we would have said when she dies, the usage is over, and there, had she not sold it, the Baal would get the property, but because she sold it, the property goes to the person who bought it. And that's what the Takana changed. Now, the Gemara moves on to the last opinion, that's Reb Shimon. And he said there's a difference between whether the husband knew about the property or he didn't know about the property. The Gemara explains if he knew about the property, it could be that was his intention in the marriage. He only wanted to marry her because he knew he was going to get the property, and therefore he has the right to take it away. He has his rights there. That was part of the conditions. If he didn't know about it, then you can't say that. So the Gemara wants to know how do you define knew about it or didn't know about it. There's two versions of this. One of the first versions of Yosef Bar Chanina, who says known about it means land. He knew about all the land that she owes. The movable objects, he doesn't really know what she has, and therefore he wasn't counting on that when he married her. However, the Gemara brings a disputing opinion, which is Rabbi Yochanan, and he says no, the husband knew even about her movable objects, and he was possibly counting on them. Not known means that she didn't have it here. It was owned overseas, it was in storage somewhere else overseas, far away, and therefore he had no way of knowing on it, and it can't be that he counted on it. He had no way of knowing about it, and it can't be that he was counting.